So this week was the spring break combining special for Zyuohger and Kamen Rider Ghost, and they kind of did it differently than the last 2 years. The last 2 years have just had a section-off special that is both related to and yet outside of the normal episode counts of both sides. This time it's an actual episode of both shows, and has a B-plot that focuses on the crossover, and an A-plot that directly relates to the ongoing story of both shows. Whereas it was a bit more disconnected. Ninja Driver, though, had counts off from there, so it was released at least more related to the shows, but that made it more difficult to continents with the bigger events, as I went over in my review of Tyson Grand Prix. But this time it's more clear that they are integrated, and, well, let me start off with discussing Zyuohger. And with Zyuohger, I'm quickly losing my patience with Amu, in that she is being all the more irresponsible. She's shirking what she says her duties, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but in an earlier episode, didn't she agree to do that kind of chore work around the house while Yamato lets her, experience the human world? It's like, you gotta do something to be able to do this other thing, and you're just shoving off on your compatriots. Admittedly, Tusk is not letting this die, but it's not done in a way that I feel is really appropriate, because they're not really addressing it. They're more dressing her down without really ending the issue. So it's possibly going to be a repeated element, like I think the Leo and Sella thing may be, with how the two have kind of have that discourse on what one thinks is respect, the other thinks is, actually going to go too far and do harm to someone that can't take it. It's a whole complicated issue there, but here it's more clear that Amu is in the wrong. And yet the show is more framing Tusk as the pedantic or mean-spirited one in all this, and he's really not in this case. It's like, would you want your workload to be doubled because one of your co-workers decided to knock off for the day and kept acting like that? So you were pretty much doing their work, and no, I'm completely against Amu in this, since this has been consistent with her, and it's not been an entertaining aspect of it. Well, when Tusk goes to try and more directly dress her down for this and make her do her part that she should be doing, they encounter Azald, and I'm going with that name because it's kind of what the show is pronouncing is like, which is one of the generals of the, I shouldn't say generals, one of the team captains for the Death Galleon's game, and he uses a device of his invention to take out one of the competitors by, it's kind of like a syringe thing, which he sucks Amu in and then fuses the whatever form Amu took in there with one of the Death Galleon's combat men to kind of enslave it and, do the whole old shtick of making you fight your friends, except with less brainwashing. Technically. So while Tusk is trying to survive in battle without significantly harming Amu, since the foot soldiers are pretty easy to cannon fodder, Yamato, Sella, and Leo get another warning of a attacker, and it is a Shocker minion. Where did they come from? It's like they just literally popped out of nowhere this time. And when they're going to battle it, then in comes Takeru, out of completely nowhere. And don't get me wrong, I like the whole scene of the team up, it's just that getting to it is problematic, because as we see later in the in Ghost Side, this is a lead into the movie, and Kamarichigo already has his power up and all that, and this feels like it's going to be a big continuity snarl at the end of everything, unless, I don't know, maybe it's after the movie's events, but neither of... Takeru doesn't really know what Shocker is, so this is... I feel is problematic, but the movie is not going to be viewable for us on the western side of the world for some time, so I'm not being too critical of it right now with how it's relating into the movie. Only more its own story point stuff, and yeah, the Shocker minion out of nowhere is not a good element. But yeah, I like the homages they do in the fight scene, in that, first it's just Ghost kicking the Shocker minion's ass, and he uses 3 form changes: Newton, Edison, and Musashi, which are blue, yellow, and red themed. And the ones that, the Zyuohger that are seeing this are blue, yellow, and red. And even more, there's a second reference there, because they are a hawk, a lion, and a dolphin, which is a allusion to both Live Man and Sun Vulcan. Which, yeah, more people have already pointed that out previously. I just thought it was interesting that one of the bigger founding Sentai groups was being... I lost my train of thought there. Anyways, it leads into the next bit where they transform for the first time, and Ghost is surprised because he doesn't know these people. And, you know, when they do all the expected Sentai posing, he kind of, like, gets into this lizard pose thing that has become a meme in the fandom, and I love it. Because it's a twofold reference. It's lizard, so it's the matching animal. The lizard thing is also matching the iguana of the Iguana Ghost Striker, aka Captain Ghost. And the pose itself is kind of like the Thriller dance from Michael Jackson. Which was kind of, you know, a scary ghost and haunting theme thing, and it works on multiple levels and is very nice. So yeah, their fight scene is the main fight scene of the episode, including Giant Mecha Brawl, which they don't do the stupid don't see the mecha thing, which was annoying the first time around, even more annoying the second time around, and glad they skipped it this time. But after the monster goes down, everybody leaves. Wow, that's a ridiculously short crossover. Wonder what they're going to do on Ghost Side now. They continue it later. But with Tusk, he manages to wake Amu up by alluding that he has something to tell her. Of course, we know it's him ridiculing her for avoiding responsibility, which is something she should not be doing, which is the bit I keep stressing with that. And the curiosity killed the cat thing is kind of worked in reverse as it wakes up the cat. Amu becomes curious on what it is and wakes up from within the trooper. I'm legitimately forgetting the name of the mooks of Zyuohger. Please don't write in the comments. I have trouble remembering the names of people at the beginning of these shows. Just to reiterate that, it will catch on to me eventually. But yeah, it uses that. They use that to then trick Azald to give up the syringe thing and release Amu, and episode wraps there while alluding to Azald's bigger scheme. For the reason he tried this attempt is to get the competitors out of the way, or at least reduce their number, so his game will go more smoothly. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the allusions to a greater plan by an intelligent villain, because I like intelligent villains. I think most people like intelligent villains. This leads into Ghost, and Ghost this time is more focused around finally addressing Goemon as part of the 15 Ghost Hero thing, since they kind of skipped over him as a freebie at that time, whereas this is finally getting his respect as he also gives wisdom to Takeru. And he does this by, when they hear of a monster out there, he mistakes the type of monster they were naming it as, a rat, aka Nezumi, as Nezumi Kozo, another historical thief that Goemon says was his rival. Problem is, as Takeru eventually comes to remember and realize, is that Nezumi Kozo lived in a different time period than Goemon, so the two would not have ever crossed paths, so to speak. Goemon eventually reveals that, yeah, he knows this. He was just trying to use through example of the stories he would tell of their bickering and mutual thwarting until they finally worked together for a bigger cause, is he was trying to tell through tale example of what he should be doing with Aran, since they do have a mutual goal in find out what's going on with the Ganma world and rescue Makoto. And of course, because of last episode's events, the last few episodes, Takeru is hesitant to do that because he doesn't trust Aran's intentions, because he was part of that whole nonsense before. And I feel that with Goemon, it works far better to address all the stuff Takeru was panicking over last episode without going out of character or going against story. It is far better addressed here than it was last week. And it does not justify what happened last week. But I feel it starts putting it all in better context for why he would overreact to that, because, as I keep saying in these vlogs, the problem with Ghost is its pacing, and it not having the room to really justify some of the stuff it makes essential plot points. If that makes any sense to you all. Because Takeru freaking out last episode over that didn't make sense from what was allowed to be presented, because it was all smushed together, when it would have more worked as a two-part arc where Takeru kind of starts freaking out more and more, and people leaving him as he descends into his own personal... Yeah, I went over that last week. So, this works a bit better for me in doing that. The monster is, of course, another shocker kaijin, which is actually a porcupine, with it capturing people with its into its spines, like sucking them in, like very similar to the syringe device of Azald's, but we have absolutely no idea why it was doing this. Absolutely none. It's never really addressed, and yeah, there was at least a thing I keep going over with the Shocker Returns plots in modern day Kamen Rider is there was a logic to how they were doing this. A lot of them were stupid, but that was in execution more than the plan itself, because the Great Leader of Chakra is an idiot. But without context to what the actual plan was, it just seems kind of useless and petty, to be frank on that. Because, what were you going to do with them? Turn them into Chakra minions? What I would really like to know what the entire intent was of that. But regardless, Takeru and Yamato, because Yamato comes over to Ghost this time for the team up, take care of him quite easily, and when he dies, all the people captured are returned to where they came from. Okay. Yeah, that's the next part of this, and Ghost honestly has the better of the two team-ups, even though because it's playing off of what was done in Zyuohger, and actually ties it into the main story of bringing Takeru to work with Aran, because it's part of his musings that he doesn't even really know Yamato, he only met him once, and yet he was being chipper and grateful and all these positive things with someone he just fought in a battle with once and had very little interpersonal character action. I would kind of debate that, yeah, you didn't really get to know him from that, but from the way he presented himself, he was very opening and amicable, and that honestly makes people easier to interact with when they are like that. not everyone can act like that. I have very much trouble in social settings because I kind of come off as aloof or stoic to some people. It's just social anxiety things. But, it gets him to... I don't feel it's a perfect lesson because he's interacted with Aran and the two have been very standoffish, but that's where the Goemon thing comes in, where even if you don't get along with someone, doesn't mean you can't try to achieve a greater goal. So, cohesively, I feel it works better with progressing the story plots of Ghost in the team-ups. Which honestly, considering Kamen Rider's writing is 9 times out of 10 stronger than Sentai's, this is not that unusual. Aran, for the most part, is just running from Ganma this episode, aside from showing that he can't do all this on his own, like breaking down the barriers to him accepting help from others, more or less. We do get a few good fights with Grateful. I honestly think the form looks pretty good now that we've seen it more in action. Especially, even the accentings don't bug me that much because at least they're accenting inside of a symmetrical design. But the bigger thing about Ghost Grateful is it has the decayed ability to summon other combatants. In that all of the ghosts can manifest as their own fully autonomous rider form. Like, it's a blank ghost suit with them wearing the form jacket, like we've been seeing with the previous Takeru sucked into the icon to directly converse with the souls of the heroes. He's just able to fully manifest them now in the battle. And I liked how they set this first one up, in that it was a team-up of Ghost, Goemon, and Robin Hood. And from we've been told of Goemon, his MO, steal from the rich and give to the poor, is very much like Robin Hood. So I can see them having a sort of mutual respect in the same way that Goemon was describing having with Nizumi Kozo. So thematically, it makes a lot of sense, and allows us to see that Ghost Grateful can also do the other decayed thing, in that it can, for its final attacks, it can, the form can combo 2 of the finishing moves, not 2, it can do the same finishing move as the thing it summons on top of the summoned individual using their finishing move. Like when Decayed Complete summoned Kabuto Hyper, it would be the Maximum Hyper Typhoon X2. Ghost Grateful goes a step further and does that combo with all the ghosts it summons. Like, it was a combo attack with Robin Hood's arrow finisher and Goemon's slash finisher, but Ghost was also doing them with the respective hero on top of them doing it itself. So it's like you get 4 attacks for three attackers. Now this has made me desire to see Takeru summon all 15 of the Rider Souls at once, and then just do a bunch of spamming finishing moves. It'd be absolutely ridiculous, but I feel it would be awesome. Maybe in their starring movie, I don't know. But yeah, episode ends with Takeru coming to talk with Aran. Hopefully, we will finally get some tangible exposition next time. They're teasing a lot of stuff right now, but they've been teasing stuff for most of the season. Speaking of, that is something I forgot to touch upon. Adele didn't actually kill his and Aran's father. He just faked his death and imprisoned him so that he could learn the secrets of the prayer chamber and how to manage the Ganma world, because, yeah, he kind of did his coup far too early. With those, you're supposed to learn how to run the world, or whatever you're taking over fully before you try and do that. Hell, sometimes subverts the individual's rule by actually taking command of everything else. So it's like, you have no real power. I'm just going to take the rest of it from you. Whereas this is starting to seem like spiteful and short-sighted, just to fulfill the ideals of the dude you imprison, because, you know, you kind of got raised in a dystopia where that kind of thing was expected. Maybe we'll... That's the thing with Ghost, as I keep saying. It teases the stuff, but it doesn't really give much, not outcome, payoff. It keeps building to the payoff, but you're not really getting it. Other updates. Second Black video went up on Patreon on yesterday, the Wednesday. First one is releasing to the public on Saturday. I know I still need to get the older videos that Toei removed back up, but I'm still busy with stuff. I just got done shooting my anniversary episode this week, and I've got a bunch of other stuff to edit, and I will try to get them next week. I'm not certain. Toei's doing of this always screws with my schedules. That's all I got. I will see everybody next week.